Alright, here's my opinion on Divekick Tierlist because I feel that many are incorrect on the internet, and I'm just going to share what I think. So, I think there's only going to be 3 individual sort of rankings. So, A, B, and C. I don't think there's an S. There's, honestly, in Divekick, I think all the characters are very close. There isn't a huge difference in between all the characters altogether, but there's enough of a difference to make a ranking system, and there's enough of a difference to make it a clear ranking system, which nothing really has a tie. There's no real close tie. The only exception is Kenny, who is just a bit hard to rate. Anyways. So, number 1, A rank, Shoals. Number 2, Markman. Number 3, Kick. Then we go B rank, Mr. N. At number 4. Number 5, Redacted. Number 6, Dive. Number 7, S-Kill. Number 8, Baz. For C rank, number 9, Uncle Sensei. Number 10, Kung Pao. Number 11, Kenny. Number 12, Jefailey. And finally, number 13, Stream. Alright, I guess I'll talk about them one by one then. So Stream is very slow. He cannot build meter very quickly. He does not jump very high or very well. He's a double jump character, and his first jump is pretty bad. Just straight up jump as with all. But he has very, very small height. His kick back is pretty good, but it's fairly slow still. It makes like an arc. His specials are pretty terrible. His I forget what it is. Snubby Please, I think, it's not good. Makes you invisible, but drains meter fairly quickly before you can able to do anything because he's so slow. His other specials a little bit better. He fires the ground, but the interesting thing that he can do is he can kick and then use that, and then he can use that in the air and then kick again out of it, which is good until you play Shoals, which has the same thing except costs way less meter and can do it basically at any time. Alright, so Stream's terrible, and that's why he's last. He's easily punished, and he can't really be aggressive because he's so easily punished. Alright, next is Jefailey, and Jefailey is actually my favorite character to play, but the big disadvantage is of course the ego of him. His head grows, and of course I like the idea of Jefailey's head growing with each win. Because of how it grows, it makes his hitbox just bigger. After that, I mean, Jefailey's very good kick, I believe. I really like his kick. The fact that he can charge it is, just really good. If he could not charge it, I think he'd actually still be a bit okay if you just, keep jumping, you keep kicking in the air to kind of prevent anyone from going in. And if you use your specials correctly, mainly his disqualify, which is a very good special, one of my favorites. I think it's very powerful. If you use it correctly, I think you can get out of pretty much anything, and then you just need to build meter until you either build meter or you win by holding the line, which Jefailey's just awesome at. Anyways, disqualify, very good special. One of the best, in my opinion. Honestly, one of the best. It lets him float in the air a bit to prevent attacks. It pushes him backwards a bit as well in the air. The most important thing, it kills meter, so it can kill strategies like the Baz gaining meter, or like Kick gaining meter, or someone like Mr. N who relies a lot on meter, or people like that. And surprisingly, when he gains more wins, he jumps higher. So despite all that, the big head still puts him down all the way to 12. Kenny's a pretty tough character to put on a tier list because of how he mimics people. So you can say it's kind of like random because you know he always gets a new fighting style each time, and theoretically he could always get the one that will slightly counterpick yours. For instance, he could always get Shoals while you're playing Jefailey, or you know he could always get Baz while you're playing S-Kill, or you know something like that. So it's hard to rate him. In terms of his specials, I only think one of them is really good. The other one is actually just very situational. So his Spirit Bullet is pretty good. The stationary one is not that great. I mean, you could say that he can use it for holding the line, but you can still shoot out the yellow one anyways and hold the line with it as well. The only situation I find it really useful is just to push you back a bit. So yeah. But other than that, nothing else to say about Kenny. I guess I put him down there because not many people play him, and you can't really play him that greatly because he's just random. All right, so now we're at the top 10 out of 13. All right, well, Kung Pao. Originally, I really thought I'd like this character, as in I really thought I'd like to play this character, but she turned out not to be that great, and not for my playstyle either. Her problem is that she doesn't jump very high, of course, but not only that, I think her problem is just that there's Markman, and there's really no reason to play Kung Pao when there's Markman. Her specials are very, in honest, you know, in my honest thoughts, I think it's kind of situational. I mean, I think it's kind of random. When you kill someone with it, you feel really great, but I never feel like I'm actually doing it. I always feel it's like an accident and I kill. Like I'm like, oh okay, man, I got enough meter, I'll just use my special, and then I kill him. But I don't feel like I'm doing anything. Unlike Markman, where it's deliberate. Like the feint, I move for the feint is deliberate, and I can see it pay off. But Kung Pao is just like I use it and I go across the other screen and I hit him. And it's just sometimes he kicks into it himself, and sometimes he just doesn't do anything. He just gets hit by it anyways. Like, yeah, it's too random to me, and I don't think it's very good in comparison to Markman's feint. Markman also jumps hard, you know, kickbacks fairly good as well. I mean, Kung Pao is a little bit better, but I think it's just better to play Markman than Kung Pao straight away. I mean, there's very few instances where you use Kung Pao over Markman. Like maybe even this is maybe use Kung Pao versus Redacted in case he ducks. But even then, I mean, it's not that great because I mean Kung Pao's only got starved frames to back her up. Other than that, she's pretty bad. Uncle Sensei should be higher on the list if people knew how to play him, and if I knew how to play him, that as well. He's very good mix-up like Shoals. He can do 2 different kicks. Very good space control as well. He's always threatening. He doesn't build meter very quickly, and he is somewhat restricted to what he can do. In that he can't, for instance like kick, can keep kicking and kick back and kicking. Just keep pressing the kick button always. Uncle Sensei can't really do that because one of his kicks, the hands first kick, the Superman kick, you know, moves him fairly, you know, horizontally, which is doesn't work out too well in the strategy. Which means you always have to use the switch stance to, you know, gain your position. I think Uncle Sensei has a lot of potential. I mean, both his specials are very good, but he's just a bit tricky to play. But once you find someone that can play well, I think he'll be at the top because it's like playing into the Baz. You don't really, or I mean, it's like playing into the Baz at the beginning of the game. No one really knew how to play him, and no one really knew how to beat him. So it's like that, except Uncle Sensei still carries on and still has that threat of being good. But until now, he's still gonna be low. Alright, Baz, my most played best character. I think he's very good, but it's only because I think I'm good at playing him. Which is why I honestly feel that if I were looking at it from a neutral standpoint, he would be 8th, and that's where I put him. Specials are actually really just decent. I mean, they're fine. They're not particularly great. I mean, the swing is not particularly useful in many situations. It's actually detrimental. The shocker is it's good in certain scenarios. Not many at all. It has so slow startup. It's not that great. Baz right now is pretty much only played for gaining his meter and just killing the guy, which they patched, and it's still okay. I mean, before it was really good. Now it's just, if you know how to play against him, you should do fairly well. I mean, he has a lot of disadvantages that many people don't. For instance, one disadvantage is that he's actually kind of slow when he needs to kick across, because he needs to charge his kick. So you can actually see where he's going to kick, as well as you can easily just collide with him. I mean, that's easy to say, but yeah. Baz, number 8. Alright, S-Kill, the lose to Baz pick. S-Kill is very good with his specials and very bad without his specials. No chase. S-Kill is pretty much the punish character. It has to do a lot with prediction, similar to the Baz. Not as much though. Parry is very good. Trick is very good. Together it makes him just devastatingly great. He's 7th though because he cannot push forward. He takes longer times to gain meter, and he never really gains full meter because he's always gonna use parry and tricks. More likely tricks. Trick costs a lot of meter as well, which is a problem. Unlike other people, for instance, Mr. N can use a float and just gain a win off of that. It costs a little, but S-Kill would need to use a trick. And yeah, he's pretty good, decently. Around here is now where everyone is about the same, really, which is why S-Kill is just the slow, in case you're wondering. I mean, technically he is below the halfway point, but he's actually very good. I mean, everyone else is really good as well. I mean, from here on out. Alright, now I have Dive. Dive, strong character. People think he's a bit synonymous with Kick in the sense that they have the same like style, I guess you can say, and they're both very similar. The big difference comes from their specials. If you had, for instance, if you had Kick and Dive, who both kick the same and dive the same, Kick would still win because of his specials. And it's just, I think that's the main reason. I don't actually think that kicking fast is as huge of a deal as many people might think. I think it's all the specials. Anyways, I'll get into that some other time. Dive, 2 fairly good specials. I'd say fairly good. Terminal velocity is very good for many situations and is a good tempo changer to change your timing of your opponent. Parabolic arc I think is worse than Kick's party starter, and you also commit yourself. So if you parabolic arc and they already jump before you did that, you're pretty much dead. Other than that, I think he's here. I think he's above S-Kill, and I think he's below Redacted. Redacted is very close to Mr. N. Very, very, very close to Mr. N. But I think the deal breaker is that, well, I guess I'll talk about them together. The deal breaker is that Redacted, I feel, is worse because of his bad specials. Okay, they're not bad, but one of them is situational, the one where he clings on the wall. The duck is pretty good, but it is still situational. and also requires a lot of reaction speed. Mr. N's specials are both very good. I mean, one of them, GTFO, gives you very good positioning, and the float is very good for fixing your mistakes or baiting them into a death or holding the line. Yeah, it's very good in general, which is why I think Mr. N is better than Redacted. Mr. N and Redacted both kick similarly. They have a high jump and a very close kick. But of course, Redacted is he jumps very high, very quickly, and Mr. N does not, in comparison to Redacted at least. But but Mr. N can also build meter very quickly as well, which which is very good. Redacted on the other hand has a very scary full meter. Mr. N is still very scary throughout though, because of his floats, which is why he's above Redacted at number 4. Alright, now we're at A rank. Kick at number 3. I've already talked a little bit about kick versus dive, but in short, kick kicks very quickly. Specials are very good, both of them very good. Party starter, basically a free kill, basically a free kill if you're in the right position. K-pop, basically a free kill in the right position. Basically makes you unreactable. Similar to S-Kill's trick, when timed correctly, it's insta-kill. With Party Starter, potential to be insta-kill at a certain range. His meter costs a bit more, but he gains meter very quickly. So he's a threat throughout. You can't really attack into him quickly because of his kickback is pretty good. Yeah, that's why he's number 3. Yeah, okay. Number 2, Markman. Markman, very good throughout. Very good defensively, very good aggressively, similar to Kick and Shoals, which are also A rank. Markman, very good specials. He digs stuff and he throws and gains items for his kickbox, which is actually very potent when you have it, having another kick meter. And when you have both the kick meter popped and you have his kickbox complete, he becomes very devastating. As well as his just frame, just a small, little quirk of the game, from the developers. I get it. I mean, it's, a bit of a shout out, I guess. But I feel it's a bit, unnecessary. At least put on Kung Pao over Markman. I mean, there's no reason to put on Markman. Basically, if you can pull off his just frame every time, or a lot of the time, he becomes, like, very, very potent. Like, unbelievably strong. His feint is unbelievably good as well. I mean, it's better than Mr. N's float for a kill. I mean, it's useful in basically any position. If you're in a bad position, you can still use it to jump backwards. Unlike Mr. N, where he only, floats. Markman actually moves, moves backwards. Markman can use it after a kick, which is unbelievably great as well. I mean, that definitely beats Mr. N and Kung Pao. And Markman throws items which are very good as well. I mean, they're very good for zoning, which means he can gain meter quickly too. Or not quickly, he can gain meter uncontested. He can hold the line fairly well. So yeah. Number 2. Number 1 is Shoals. I don't really want to talk about Shoals too much because it's a bit obvious, but Shoals has 2 kicks. Very high jump, very good kickback, very good distance on the kicks. I think it's a bit too much in my opinion. She can basically get from one screen to from one end basically to about 75% of the full map. I think so. Her first special is okay, the Great Escape. It's situational. Against certain characters it's very good. Against other characters it's not too useful at all. One thing it can be used for holding the line. You use it and then you kick off screen. You're basically above the screen technically. Fight is just unbelievably great. I mean, you basically use it to cancel your kicks, and if you're very good with it, which is not that hard to do, it's a lot easier to do Knockout Sensei. It's basically, you know, you kick and then you can cancel your kick to bait someone else's to do something. Then you kick again, or you can kick, flight cancel, and then kick again for more distance now because your kick has been reset. Yes, but even when concussed, Shoals is still okay. Other characters cannot get away easily. In particular, people like Stream, Kung Pao, Jefailey, etc. But Shoals can get away very easily because of his her kickback, and she's still potent because she kicks so horizontally that if you make a mistake, she can capitalize on it. And that's just concussed. I mean, when she's regular, it's definitely she can pull you apart easily if you make a mistake. Build meter quickly. I mean, meter like kick factor is pretty good. I mean, you know, there's not much to say. I mean, put it like this: if she's one of the characters that can basically use dive gem or not dive gem, kick gem for everyone else, whereas other people would be at an advantage to pick a different gem over someone else. But Shoals will basically always pick kick gem against everyone else, except for another Shoals, which just tells you the power. I mean, the only thing to counter Shoals is to pick a different gem than what she normally picks. And, you know, just saying that, I believe, is enough. Unless you play Bass and you play, you know, meter only, then I guess you can go meter gem only, but it's a little bit different. Or if you go Jefailey YOLO, which is still okay. It's actually still okay. Anyways, that's my tier list. If you have any questions, just ask me. I will probably talk about this more later on, character by character, how I feel about them. This has been going on fairly long, so okay. Alright, I'm done. Thank you.